Hello, everyone. It's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked a lovely question on Twitter, and I basically said, give me your Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime hot takes, and boy, oh boy, were some of these takes spicy. Now, I only saw a few of these takes, to be fair. I am with my friend Calibro. Cal, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man.
Good.
Good.
Now, Cal went through my replies, picked out a few that he liked. We probably have about 35 or 40 of them. We got almost 300 replies on that tweet. So if we do not include yours, I am terribly sorry. It would have been like a 6-hour video if we included all of them. But maybe this will be a multi-part series if you guys enjoy it. So, yeah, sit back and enjoy the hot takes. I'm going to be ranking these in 3 different ways. The first is a 1 through 5 scale on how hot I actually think the take is. A 5 is habanero pepper, right? Habanero, that's the thing?
Yeah, habanero or like the ghost rare pepper.
Oh, the ghost rare? Oh, that's a good one, dude. The ghost rare pepper. All right, that's 5. And then 3 is, middle. You got like your buffalo, barbecue, whatever. And then 1 is honey mustard. Now, I love a good honey mustard, but 1 is if I don't really think the take is too hot. I'm going to let you know if I agree with the take or not, my thoughts on it. And then I will let you know if it is a boomer take. And if it is a boomer take, you will hear this noise.
Boomer take.
That is if it is a Yugi boomer take, and a boomer take is just a take from someone who probably has only watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, which is fine. We do not judge here on this channel.
Of course not.
I got a boomer take as well. I think the original show has the best set of villains in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! I do not think we've had a Yu-Gi-Oh! That has better villains than the original. So if I said that on this episode, you'd hear that noise. Yeah, it's as simple as that. There's no, no judging here. So without further ado, let's jump right in, my man.
All right. Let's get this one started. We are going to start with a take from Kaiju Habino.
Okay. Of course.
And this take is Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds should have ended after the Dark Signers arc like it was initially intended to.
Well, I'm going to give the take a 3. I think it's a pretty, middle-of-the-road take because I think there are a lot of people that agree with that. For those of you that don't know, it was kind of stated that the 5Ds anime was supposed to end after the Dark Signers arc, which I believe was episode 64. That being said, I do not agree with it. So I'm not in agreement with the take because, and I've heard the take many, many times throughout my, career, I guess, of doing this channel, because I like a lot of things that happen post Dark Signers arc. Now, the Dark Signers arc is wonderful, but I also think the Neo arc, Cradle arc is almost on the same level of the Dark Signers arc. That final season of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, the Team Ragnarok duel against Team 5Ds was a really good duel. And then, of course, like that Neo arc, Cradle arc, man, is so, so good. So to remove that just for the show to end after Dark Signers, yeah, I've never been on board with that idea, but, I respect, of course, the opinion of our friend there, Kaiju Habino.
Of course.
Yes.
A slightly hot take to start the day.
Well, 3. Yeah, it's lukewarm.
Yeah, you're right.
You got Buffalo. Right. Some people are sensitive to Buffalo.
Okay.
Like me.
Yeah. Like you. You're right. All right, this next take is from Cyber's Greninja.
Okay, wonderful.
And the take is, Crow shouldn't have been in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds.
So you're starting me with 2 5Ds takes.
Yep.
Crow shouldn't have been in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. I'm going to go ahead and give that a 4. I'm not going to give it a full-blown 5 because there's a lot of opinions on Crow. Crow shouldn't have been in 5Ds. It's one thing to say Crow should have had a lesser role in the story. I think I would agree with that because I think it would have given the chance for like Aki to shine or maybe the twins. But to say Crow shouldn't have been in the show at all is definitely a hot take. I can't agree with it. I think that's a little too extreme for me. I think Crow still did serve a really good purpose. I know there's a lot of people that really liked Crow. And I think Crow could have been still a really good character just with a scaled back role. I don't think it was necessary to completely omit him from the story. That's definitely a hot one. And I'll give it a 4. Yeah, that's hot.
Okay.
That's hot. We're heating up here.
We're heating up, baby. Heating up. Let's see if this heat continues here.
All right.
Our next take is from Matt Galaxy.
Okay.
And Matt said, if you take Seto Kaiba out of the entire Duel Monsters series, nothing changes. Winky face.
What? If you take Seto Kaiba out of Yu-Gi-Oh, nothing changes.
Yeah.
I mean, that is absolutely... I'll give that a 5.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I guess it is a hot take. I was going to say it's a wrong opinion. I mean, you know, Matt, I love you, dude. Matt's been around for years. But, I mean, that I have to imagine the winky face is maybe sarcasm.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 5. I can't agree with that. I mean, Seto Kaiba... then you don't have the virtual world arc. You don't have the Kaiba Corp Grand Prix. He puts together Battle City. He pushes Yugi's character forward. No way, dude. I mean, that's got to be a meme take.
It's got to be.
It's got to be, right?
You need Kaiba.
You need Kaiba.
You
He's
do.
the rival and a great character. Yeah, I think you need him. But, yeah, I can't agree with it. Now I'm feeling like the Grinch. I haven't agreed with a single one of these takes.
We'll get there, maybe.
I hope. I don't know, man.
Well, hey, that's why they're hot. Because
They're
people
hot.
don't always agree.
Well, you're right. I give that one a 5. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. Talk about heating up. Went 3, 4, 5 real quick.
Yeah, for real, dude.
Oh, man. All right, this next take is actually basically the same take from two different people. So we have Lutu and Dilphosaur.
Okay.
And the take is seemingly that Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is objectively the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Series.
Yeah, Dilphosaur, Karina, who I'm friends with, awesome person. Big GX fan. Does not surprise me coming from them. Here's the thing that I've noticed about GX over the 7-8 years that I've been doing this channel. GX has the most extreme opinions on it, I think, of any Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. I really do. Like, there are people that love GX. Best show ever, best Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever. And there are also people that hate GX. Worst show ever, worst Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever. And I don't think you get that with a lot of the other Yu-Gi-Ohs. Like, with Zexal, it's a lot of people that didn't watch it, hate it because of, either they had a bad experience with the dub or they dropped it after 5 episodes. It looked more childish, whatever the reasons are for that. But I feel like a lot of people that really didn't like Zexal are people that didn't watch it.
Okay.
I've kind of gotten that vibe. And then Arc 5, people kind of focus on the ending. Vrains, I feel like people are more kind of in the middle on. But with GX, you just have these extreme ends.
Yeah.
That's really, really fascinating to me. I'm going to give the take a 3 because I think it's not... I think it's a very kind of middle-of-the-road take to say Yu-Gi-Oh! X, whatever Yu-Gi-Oh! Show it is the best show. It's kind of like saying, Yusei is the best protagonist. I don't think it's necessarily a hot take. I'll give it a 3 and not less because GX, I don't think, is universally considered by many to be the strongest Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. That being said, I don't agree with it.
Okay.
Not to be the bearer of bad news, GX Season 3 and 4 to me is wonderful. It's some of the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever. But I can't overlook those first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
We have a meme on this channel where we say GX gets great at episode 102. And I mean, it's not entirely wrong to me. I don't say it to just joke around.
You say that, but then the joke part of it is when it starts getting to episode 140, 145.
GX gets great at 180, which is the final episode. Right? That's a little unfair. No, but those final 2 seasons are wonderful. They're great. Can't overlook those first 2. So to me, GX is not objectively the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. But it's just my opinion. Now I'm really feeling like the Grinch. 0 for 4.
Yeah.
But great takes. And listen, you got to defend the show that you love. So I respect it.
I'm afraid we might keep the ball rolling here, but we'll see.
It's funny. Before you get to that next one, there were a couple takes I saw. I actually didn't see the positive GX ones. I saw it on the other side where people said GX is objectively the worst show. There were a bunch of tweets like that. And that's why, you look at GX and it just has this sect of fans that absolutely love it and this sect of fans that hate it. And I don't know if there's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Show that's quite as, extreme on both ends as GX. It's interesting.
Maybe it's a particular taste,
It's interesting.
You love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
All right. The next take is actually, again, 2 people had the same take here.
Great.
So we have Mega Capital G and we have Galaxy Gamer 1.
Okay.
And both are going with Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains is a masterpiece and better than the majority of the shows.
Well, Mega Capital G, shout out to him. He's a big Yu-Gi tuber, so that's really cool that he replied. I know he's a big fan of Vrains. I know a lot of the big Yu-Gi tubers are. Coder, I think, is another person who watched Vrains and really loved it. I think the reason for that is Vrains represents the card game very, very well. So if you're really into the card game, I think you're just going to enjoy Vrains because the duels are very realistic to what probably the most realistic of any show to what the, actual OCG, TCG actually is and was at the time. That being said, is it a masterpiece? I'm going to give the take a 3. I'm going to give it a 3 because it falls under that same, this show is the best. And I think that's, not necessarily like a super hot take, but, you're defending your show. And Vrains, I don't think is considered by many to be the best Yu-Gi-Oh show. I'm going to say I don't agree with it. I like Vrains a lot. I can't call it a masterpiece. That is high praise. I respect that, but I can't call it a masterpiece. There's a lot of storylines that were just forgotten about. There's a lot of things that I wish the show kind of did differently. That final season is insanely, even though it's good, insanely rushed. You bring back all your characters after Bowman. You kill off almost all your characters 5 episodes into the next season, which is a sign of just how rushed it was at the end. But better than most shows, it's kind of in that middle range for me of the 7. So, yeah, I can't agree with it, but I respect the take, and I liked Vrains.
Yeah, I liked Vrains too.
You watched Vrains, yeah.
I did.
So
I did.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for me to put any show as the best Yu-Gi-Oh show since I've only watched 3 of them.
Correct.
And I dabbled in DM when it first came out in the dub when I was a child, and I don't really remember all of it. So
yeah, that's fair.
But for me, yeah, Vrains it's right up there in the top 3.
Yeah.
All right, this next take is from Alex501.
Okay.
Alex said, Revolver is not only the best anime rival, but is in the running to be the best anime character. A very complex character who drives the show, and by far the worst part of Reigns was the stretch where he wasn't in the show in Season 2.
Revolver is the best rival and one of the best characters in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Correct.
I'll give it a 4. Because I think that is to say it's one of the best in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! A rival character, not pro tag, and is the best rival, I think is a pretty bold statement.
Absolutely.
Not going to give it a 5 because Revolver is a big fan favorite. I think he's probably my favorite in Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. So I agree that he's the best in Vrains. Do I think he's one of the best in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! He's probably, honestly, like top 10, top 15 for me, so that could qualify. But he's not the best rival. So this is one that I'm halfish on.
Okay.
So I finally,
You're almost there.
For what it's worth, my opinion really doesn't mean anything, but I kind of agree on that take. Kind of. Because I agree, I do think he's one of the best characters in the franchise. If you consider top 10, top 15, which I do across 8 shows, I mean, that's high praise. But I don't think he's not the best rival. He's not the best rival.
And would you say, I guess if this is like a part 2 of the take, that by far the worst part of Reigns was the stretch that he wasn't in the show?
I mean, you want to answer that?
I mean, I agree.
I agree, too. Yeah, I forgot about that part. 100%. Yeah, the toughest part of Reigns was when he was gone after that episode 46 duel. Yeah, 100%. Totally agree with that.
He was very captivating on screen.
You get characters. Akiba Reiji was another one in Arc 5 where when they're on screen, your just eyes are glued to the screen.
Even more recently, like every time I feel like Yugioh's in some
Go
sort
Rush,
of scene,
yeah,
Go Rush
100%.
It's one of those.
He's got that presence. Yeah. Zion's another one for me, honestly. A little bit more low key, where he has that same presence vibe.
It's like he has the presence, but he's like the new superstar in town. Like he hasn't he's not a big enough name to carry the same weight.
Yeah, that's fair.
He does have a good presence.
Yeah, good aura.
Yeah, I like that. This next take is from 10th Emperor.
Okay.
And they said, if any Yu-Gi-Oh! Deserves a sequel, it's Zexal.
If any Yu-Gi-Oh! Deserves a sequel, it's Zexal. I'm going to give that take a 2.
Okay.
Because Zexal ended with a very obvious cliffhanger. So I don't necessarily think that the take... And by the way, me giving it less than 3 does not mean I think it's a bad take. I just don't think it's necessarily like a hot take. That's what that 1 to 5 is. This is the one that I'm in full agreement with.
Okay, there's one.
Full agreement.
There is one.
I think the only other show you could argue is Vrains, based on how it ended with the cliffhanger. The difference, and then Sevens, but we're getting that expanded on in Go Rush. So Sevens, that's still ongoing.
Yeah.
Vrains has been expanded on thanks to Duel Links.
Yeah.
So Duel Links has kind of taken away that cliffhanger ending of Vrains and actually fleshed it out and given us a story to it to follow with the story of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Zexal did not do that. So Zexal, to me, is one of the only Yu-Gi-Ohs that had a true cliffhanger ending where we've gotten nothing for it. So I'm in full agreement with that.
Yeah.
Full agreement.
I would have argued Vrains as a contender as well, as someone that didn't play through the Duel Links story.
Yeah.
But I do know, knowing that the story is there, I mean, Zexal would probably be the top choice for a sequel.
If you watch the end of Zexal, there's nothing more to it. If you watch the end of Vrains, you now have, 20 minutes of cutscenes that happen in Duel Links that are a continuation of that story. So that's why I do give it to Zexal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good. I like that. I agree with that take.
And a first firm agreement. So we've made it.
First 100% agreement. It took 20 minutes, but we got there.
All right, so this next take is from Ahmed D3.
Okay.
And the take is, although Tori Meadows has a 0% win rate, I don't think she's a terrible duelist. In most of her duels in most of her duel episodes, in the episode Catherine kept sabotaging her, and also in the duel against Yuma, she XZ summoned, something Yuma couldn't do until he met Astral.
So I respect the take. I'll give it a 5. I'm gonna give it a 5. I'm gonna give it a 5. I'll give it a 5, but I couldn't disagree with it more.
Okay.
I give it a 5 because I think it is a super hot take to say Kotadi is not a bad duelist. For those that don't know, like you, she dueled in one episode 4 times, lost all 4 duels.
Nice. She's
not a duelist. Now, if it was phrased that she's not a bad character, I'd actually agree with that, and I'd say that's not really a hot take. I agree. I liked her character, but this is focusing on her dueling abilities. And I know Yuma, he needed Astral to XZ summon, but early Yuma was horrible. I mean, he was not a good... He grew as a duelist as the show went on, so comparing anything to pre-Astral Yuma as a duelist is not a good comparison because Yuma was terrible. He was horrible early on in Zexal. So, and then he became, he grew to become a juggernaut, honestly. But Kotadi, no, she is a terrible duelist. I disagree with that one.
Okay. And as someone who hasn't watched, 0% win rate doesn't make me think you'd be a good duelist. And now, even knowing further that it was 4 duels in a single episode, not great.
No, hard to beat the not good at dueling allegations when you've never won a duel.
I agree.
And have only dueled in one episode.
Yeah.
I mean, she could be a good duelist. We haven't seen anything from her to indicate otherwise.
You had 1 shot.
Yeah.
Or 4 shots in 1 episode.
And she blew them all. That's okay. I like her character, but she's not a duelist. My life's on the line and she's dueling, I'm just ending it. Like, I really am. No, I am. Because why wait for what is inevitably going to happen, her losing the duel? Anyway.
A glimmer of hope, maybe. I don't know. Here's something else. All right, so we have... Let's see. Hold on. Let me just make sure I have this right. All right, so we have a take from 2 different people, but similar take. So one is Aichi Marshmallow Peaches, and the other one is J-Bix. And the general, I'll paraphrase it a little bit, Yu-Gi-Oh! DM isn't as good as the spin-offs. It's just average.
This is an anti-Yugi Boomer take.
Anti-Boomer take.
Thank you, because we don't have that sound cue. We actually haven't had I'm surprised. I thought we'd have a few... I'm going to give it, though, a 1 on the hot scale. Okay. Our first 1, you're ordering honey mustard with your chicken fingers for this one. And by the way, honey mustard's great. I'm not dunking on it. I don't think that this is really a hot take at all because I think most people that have watched the spin-offs would be in full agreement with this.
Okay.
I'm in full agreement with it. I think the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters anime is in that 3 to 5 range of the 7 Yu-Gi-Oh shows.
Okay.
So by default, compared to the other shows, it is kind of in that average range. I still think it's a good show, but it is in that average range for me in comparison to the other Yu-Gi-Ohs, and I probably put 3 of the spin-offs ahead of it.
Okay.
The other thing with Duel Monsters, and this is important, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters manga, I think, is maybe the best piece of Yu-Gi-Oh! Media we've ever gotten. I rate the manga highly. The anime had a lot of filler, changed some things, and not necessarily for the better, in my opinion. So, if we've had a one-to-one, page-for-page, quote-for-quote, line-for-line replication of the Duel Monsters manga to anime, a one-for-one, that anime would be, I think, the strongest piece of Yu-Gi-Oh! Media anime ever.
Okay.
But we don't have that.
No.
And what we do have, I think, is exactly what's being described in that hot take. So I'm in agreement.
So mid.
Yeah, but it's not mid. But when you compare it to the other shows, I think it is average.
It falls into the middle category.
Yes, it's like 3 to 5 for me. Yeah.
Got you. All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
So that's a full agreement there.
Full agreement, but I gave it a 1.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that have watched the spin-offs would fully agree with it. That's why I gave it a 1.
That's fair. All right. The next hot take we have is from Natalie.
Okay. Vrains, I'm sure.
And Natalie said, Yusaku is the best protagonist in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Well, I'll give it a 3 because, again, it's that character X or show X is the best in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yep.
And it's a protagonist. So I'll give it a 3. I don't agree with it. Yusei and Judai I like more. Yusaku is probably like 4. I think I probably have him ranked 4 or 5. That being said, I respect why so many people love Yusaku. I know a lot of people that have told me, and this isn't me paraphrasing. You've been on the podcast with me when people donate. They can relate to his dealing and handling with trauma and what he went through when he was a young kid, that horrible, Hanoi incident. And for people that are watching that have experienced trauma in whatever way they may have experienced it, Yusaku is a character that really resonates with them. So that is something that I love for them and I absolutely respect. I don't have that same kind of personal connection with him. So at times he felt very much like a character that I just wish developed a little more. I wish we got to know a little bit better. I feel like after that Revolver duel in season 1, he didn't really go too far developmentally as a character. Just my opinion on it. But I still liked him. I wish he lost.
Yeah.
I don't love the Invincible Pro Tag, but he's not the best to me, so I don't agree with it. I'll give it a 3.
Okay. Yeah.
I know Natalie loves Reigns.
No, and I think he's a good pro tag, and like you said, I think there are certain things that definitely could have been done better. I think anyone being undefeated is a little less interesting, only because you lose the kind of like the fear factor of them actually losing.
Yeah, 100%.
It gets to a point where you're like, well, it's too far along for him to lose, so you kind of know he's not going to lose, and it's just that's my only real like downside of it, because the character overall I liked. So
yeah, it's fair. I agree.
But in agreement, probably not the best of all the pro tags.
It's a bold statement.
It is. The next take here is from Matt the Hero.
Okay.
And Matt said, Seven's Road is one of the best looking aces, and second one, Shingo is a great character.
All right. Seven's Road is the best looking ace. I'll give it a 4. Shingo is a great character. I'll give a 4. Well, no, saying someone's a great character, I'll give that a 2, actually, because he's not saying they're the best character in
Just
the show.
A great character.
Yeah, I'm going to give that a 1, actually. I think that's, I think a lot of people love Shingo. The first one, because that really is 2 takes. The first one, Seven's Road Magician, never grew on me. I think it's the ugliest ace. It's my least favorite looking ace. It's got a goofy face that I never grew to love. So to say that that's the coolest looking pro tag definitely is a bit of a spicy take. One that I definitely don't agree with. And then Shingo, a lot of people loved him. I thought he was an arrogant, P-word that didn't really prick. I should clarify it, not the other word. An arrogant prick, which I can...
You try to not say that and then make it worse.
The implication is, I'm not calling him that, the cat. I'm calling him a prick. He was... He was very arrogant. I didn't like him. He never won. He talked a big game. He didn't do anything. I don't like Shingo. So I don't agree with either of those.
So I don't know much about Shingo other than that he was 0-9 Shingo.
That's what I've called him on this channel for years. I
Yeah.
call him 0-9 Shingo.
That's the only thing I know about Shingo.
That's
so
all you need to know.
It seems that way. But I also...
Matt thinks he's a great character, and a lot of people do.
I
I don't
also-
want to upset the 20 Shingo fans watching, so
That's true.
I'll stop talking.
They might come after you.
Yeah, right.
I do think I agree with you on the Seven's Road as well. Not a huge fan of Seven's Road Magician.
God, goofy
and
looking thing.
just thinking of like aces in general, like I already think Dark Magician would be way cooler looking
Yeah.
than Ace Monster.
Yeah.
But
Well, and then Yugioh Transamu Reinek looks amazing.
yeah, Transamu Reinek. Yeah,
Or Galactica Oblivion, whatever one you want
Yeah.
to call, you know.
you're right.
Firewall Dragon, Decode Talker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Seven's, that's
Bold
definitely
better.
a bold statement. I might even bump that to a 5. I'll keep it a 4 because that is a crazy statement. But I think that's just because I'm not a fan of the design.
Yeah,
So I'll keep it a 4.
That's fair.
Keep it a 4.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, this next take is from Crow's Calling,
Okay.
and they said Yuma is one of the best pro tags. He goes through great character development, arguably more than Yugi, a great backstory with his folks, and genuinely grows as a duelist, unlike the other pro tags, taking several losses and growing from them like a champ.
I'm going to give it a 2, and the only reason I'm not giving it a 1 on the hotness scale, which again would be pretty mild, is because it is Yuma, and Yuma does get unfairly dunked on by a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I'm giving it a 2 is because one of the best pro tags. There's only 8 protagonists,
True.
so and I'm in agreement. I do agree with Crow there. I think Yuma has some of the best growth and development of any Yu-Gi-Oh character we've ever seen. Forget the protagonist role. Any Yu-Gi-Oh character we've ever seen. Yuma's growth is fantastic. He was really he was a character I didn't love early on in Zexal, but as the show went on, I grew to really like Yuma more and more. I think I'd probably have him maybe as my 3rd favorite pro tag, 3rd or 4th. So Yuma definitely grew on me. One of the best. I still have to put Yusei and Judai ahead of him, but yeah, Yuma's right up there for me.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. The only reason that's not a 1 is because Yuma is a character that does get dunked on a lot. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
That's fair. It's a fair statement. The next take here is from Luis20X.
All right, let's hear it, Luis.
The final duel of GX should have been Judai versus Kronos.
Huh. You know, I've never thought about that before. Judai versus Kronos, of course, did happen in that final season. I'm going to say that's a 4. 5. I'm going to say it's a 5. I think that's actually a super
Spicy
hot take.
hot.
Yeah, I think it's a super hot take, and the reason for that is you're basically removing Yugi versus Judai from the ceremonial duel, from the final duel, which I think is a really, really kind of crazy thing to say because, I mean, that's such a great fan service duel. It was a fun duel to watch. It's one of the only times we've ever seen 2 protagonists duel. Actually, it's the only time. I say one of because Udius Yuga could happen in Go Rush.
True.
We could see that. So, you know, I don't want to say the only time because that might get outdated. But it's the only time as of time recording this video, December 2023, that we've seen that.
Yep.
So to replace that or not have that be the finale duel is definitely a bold statement. But
For sure.
I got to be honest. I can't agree with it because I love Yugi versus Judai. I love the representation of that duel, seeing 2 protagonists go at it. But if you told me, hey, you got Yugi, you got Yugi,
You got it.
Yugi versus Judai doesn't happen. What's the ceremonial duel? Which is a hypothetical I've really never thought about. I love the idea of Judai versus Kronos because that duel is one of the best in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Okay.
And it would be a great callback to the very first episode. I can't agree with it, but I love it. I love that take.
All right.
Really good take. Yeah.
This take is from BJ Curry 12.
Okay.
And their take is, if 5Ds didn't have the issue with Carly's voice actress, it would have 2 of the best anime romances. Carly was put in disuse, and I think the writers were scared to put Yusei and Akiza together till the end in case of another voice actress issue.
I'm gonna give it a 2. I'm gonna give it a 2. I think it's not for me, like it's a little mild only because I think most people agree that 5Ds had some of the best romance plots.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with that take. Carly and Jack was a phenomenal romance plot, and it's a shame what happened with her voice actress. The only part of that take I don't agree with is that it impacted Aki and Yusei's dynamic. I don't think Carly being removed impacted Aki at all. I think they do kiss at the end. I think, the way that they close their eyes when they're close to each other, their hands disembark. I have a whole video breaking it down. It's weird, but, it's Valentine's Day. It was Valentine's Day. So I'll link that down below if you want to hear me talk about, two fictional characters potentially kissing in a warehouse. But I will say romance is something Yu-Gi-Oh! Has never done well. They've never done it well because it usually turns into the girl character fawning over the guy character to the point where that's like their whole character. They become a damsel. They've never done romance well. Carly and Jack was different, man. It was different, and what could have been. I give it a 2 because I think a lot of people can identify that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do feel 5Ds did have some of the best romance in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
And I'm in agreement with it. And it's a shame we never got to see it play out.
Yeah. I think if I were looking at this take, I didn't watch the show, but I don't think like another voice actress issue would be something that would stop them from changing or keeping Yusei and Akiza together before the end. I just feel like that storyline was probably already set in stone the way that it was.
Well, and Carly got totally sidelined.
Yeah.
Totally sidelined after Dark Signers because of that controversy that her voice actress was in. So it definitely affected her. You can argue it affected Iliaster and that plot line. Divine and the Arcadia movement never showing up. But I think it's a stretch to say it affected the romance plot from Yusei and Aki. But actually, I'm going to bump it up to a 3 because I think that is a pretty bold statement to make.
Yeah.
That it affected that area too. So I'm gonna give the take a 3. I think it's
all right.
Bump it up.
Heating it up a little bit.
Yeah, we'll heat it.
This next take is from Brian Ford.
Okay.
And Brian said, Season 3 of GX is the worst season of GX and is also one of the worst seasons of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes.
What? I'll give that a full-blown 5.
Okay.
I mean, that is a crazy hot take because GX Season 3 is viewed by so many of us as the best season of GX, one of the best seasons in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! I prefer Season 4. I still acknowledge Season 3 was fantastic. To say it's worse than GX Season 1 and 2 is crazy, and to say it's one of the worst in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is also crazy. I'm in complete disagreement with that, but that is an absolute hot, flaming hot take.
Absolutely a hot take.
That I cannot agree with at all. But as we know Brian, he's got some very strong and very interesting opinions.
Yeah.
I respect
some
them.
hot takes, if you will.
I mean, a lot of hot takes.
Yeah.
So as soon as you said his name, I chuckled a bit because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a spicy one. Now I will say this about Season 3 of GX.
Let's hear it.
And here we go. Here's where people are gonna be like, oh, here we go. Season 3 of GX, if he said is overrated, I think I may have been in slight agreement. I do believe Season 3 of GX is a little bit overrated, which probably is a bit of a hot take in of itself. The reason I feel that way is I think the start of GX Season 3 is a little bit slow and people don't like to talk about it, like with the dual zombies around the Academia. I don't think it really heated up until they went to the dual spirit world, which was really the second half of the third season. Nobody talks about Viper because he's a dumb villain. He's not a good villain by any means, and he really is the villain for the first half of that season. So when Yubel really full-blown takes over right after that Marcel duel, it gets insanely good. But I think it is a little bit slow, and I think that does drag down the season a little bit. So, slightly overrated. It's still very good. If you wanted to say it's overrated, I'd kind of be on your team there. Slightly overrated, but to say it's the worst in GX and one of the worst in Yu-Gi-Oh! No. I can't.
That's where the take gets hot.
Yeah, I mean, it gets burning, dude. 400 degrees. I can't do that. Crazy.
So no agreements there.
No,
All right.
not at all.
This next take is from Seraph Enjoyer.
Okay.
And the take is, I is the best final boss in the franchise, being better than some well-known and beloved ones like Zone.
Let's go through the list.
Best final boss.
Better than Otis, yes.
Okay.
Better than Zark, yes. Better than Don Thousand, yes.
Okay.
Better than Zone, for me, yes.
Okay.
Some people might debate that. I don't think the other ones are debatable. Better than Darkness and GX. I like Darkness more than the average person, but yes.
Okay.
Better than Yami Bakura. I don't know. But I was with you the whole freaking show, man.
Of course.
And he was, as you know,
Yeah.
he was... I'm going to give the take a 3 because I don't think it's as crazy of a statement as it first sounds, and I don't think there's a lot of final villains that are ultimately that good and at the level of I, because I was with us the whole show, so he gets a huge advantage there. Some people would debate Zone. I wouldn't. Yami Bakura is the only one where but I think I'd say yes. I agree with it. Him and Yami Bakura are very close. I mean, what did you think of I being the final villain?
I liked it a lot. I thought he was a really good villain. And I think the connection of knowing I, like you said, from episode 1. Like, you know I from the beginning. And at the end, it's kind of that internal battle between, I mean, external too, but like for Yusaku, like an internal battle of like, I care about I, but I have to take him down. Like, I have to end whatever he's trying to do. And that whole aspect of that duel, it's like, you know how most of the shows have like a kind of a ceremonial last duel. This was like ceremonial, but also like world saving at the same
the
time.
final boss
like
battle.
A very cool twist to that, I think. So I mean, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Yami Bakura is the only character that's making me trepidatious here. Trepidatious is the word I'm looking for.
I'm not sure what word you're looking for.
Okay,
to be honest. I'm just gonna be honest.
I will agree with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll agree with it. Little better than Yami Bakura
Yeah.
as the final boss. I like that. It's a good take.
That is a good.
Never really thought about that, actually.
That's a good one to have like a debate between those two.
Oh
as the
yeah.
top.
Well, and I
could
think
have
you could also probably get someone that would debate for Zone.
debate for Zone.
Yeah,
as well.
but like I don't think you'd get anyone debating for Otis or Darkness or Zark or Don Thousand.
I know, and if anyone was going to debate for Otis, it would be you. And
Yeah.
you're saying no, so yeah.
No. I'll debate for Otis and other things, but not
Yeah,
that.
Not that.
No.
All right, this take is from Pseudo Rider 050.
All right, cool.
And the take is, I think the Orichalcos arc is one of the best arcs in all of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. It's not the most liked arc by many fans.
I'm going to give that take a 4. The only reason it's not a 5 is because he didn't say it's the best.
Yeah, it's one of.
Obviously, he doesn't feel it's the best, so that's fine. Double Down said it's the best. You got the 5 there. But I'll give it a 4. It's a hot take. Hotter than average. You're spicy buffalo, if you will.
Okay.
I do... Well, I mean, let me say this. When I first watched Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was a kid, and when I rewatched it right before I launched Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything in 2015, I did not really like Doma. I didn't care for Season 4, which is the Orichalcos arc. I recently rewatched the Duel Monsters during the pandemic, during 2020. Doma grew on me. The characters grew on me. Darts grew on me. The story grew on me. But I prefer Battle City. I prefer Duelist Kingdom. So it's not even top 2 in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! So there's no way I'm going to agree that it's one of the best in all of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. It's probably 3rd for me, the Doma arc. I feel actually pretty good about saying it's 3rd for me. So it's grown. But yeah, I cannot say that the 3rd best arc in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the best in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! That's too much of a stretch for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's a fair
But
statement.
it's a good take.
100%. This next take is from It's Dragon Blade.
Okay.
And the take is, Aki is the most interesting character in 5Ds. When she stopped being relevant, the show stopped being interesting.
Wow. I'm going to give that one a 5, my friend. I mean, that is...
That's spicy.
Yeah, I don't often hear people refer to Aki as the best part of 5Ds and then say that her not being relevant caused it to stop being good.
Yeah.
I can't agree with that, obviously, because I like 5Ds quite a bit.
Yep.
I will agree somewhat with the part that she was one of the most interesting characters in the first 64 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. You had the Black Rose Witch persona. You had her backstory where she got these psychic powers and was an outcast in school, had a bad relationship with her parents. Divine, this cult leader that manipulated her, brought her under her wing. The rivalry with Misty and Toby and that rivalry that played out. There was a lot of wonderful things, all while trying to reach out to Yusei to, to get help for her so that Yusei could, break the spell, essentially, that Divine had on her. There were a lot of wonderful things about Aki early on in 5Ds. And if you want to say she was the most interesting character in the first 64 episodes, that's a hot take in of itself that I can kind of agree with. And it is a shame that she fell off so hard after Dark Signer's arc. Because, I loved Aki, man. She was great early on. She really was. I like that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that one. I can't say, though, that when she stopped being interesting, the show stopped being bad or being good and interesting, because I still like the show a lot.
Yeah.
But it is a shame that her character peaked in high school, basically.
That's fair. So it's almost like a half agreement. It's like you agree with the fact that Aki stopped being relevant when probably would have been better off if she was continued relevant.
Oh, yeah, well, that part, 100%,
Yeah.
But I also agree that she was a very interesting character, yeah, 100%.
This take is from Shiggy's.
Oh, Shiggy's. Okay. I'm sure it's a Vrain's take.
It is.
Okay. Wonderful.
And the take is, Shoichi Kusanagi is the worst duelist in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And he is so hot for it.
Okay, so... okay. So, Kusanagi is not the worst duelist in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!
I think I've seen worse.
I mean, I'm going to give the take a 5 because
Yeah.
to say he's the worst is a very hot take.
Yeah.
But he put up a fight against Playmaker, so
Yeah.
obviously he's a good duelist.
I mean,
Maybe not good, but he's not the worst.
from what we've seen, there's potential there.
There's definitely
Yeah.
potential. The second part, can you reread that to me?
And he is so hot for it.
Okay, so that part I actually cannot, I can't agree or disagree because not into men.
Yeah.
That being said, I look at a guy like Kusanagi, I see the appeal, right?
Yeah.
Small business owner, selling dogs and sausages and other meats,
Out of the food
grilled
truck.
meats from the food truck.
Yep.
Has that goatee,
Yep.
friends with Playmaker.
Yeah. It's
Like,
not-
I can see the appeal of Kusanagi.
it's the celebrity friendship. That's what it is.
It's the celebrity friendship.
Yeah.
I can see that appeal. I mean, Besso's going to his hot dog truck every day.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
can see the appeal there. So, yeah, I can't comment on it, but I see it.
But
Shiggy's loves Kusanagi.
and I mean he's hot because he's the worst duelist.
I think it. I mean, it could be that he's hot because he's pathetic. I think that might be. What I think that's the implication there.
Sure.
I think-
Sure.
No, you wouldn't get it.
I don't.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
get it.
That's
and
all right. That's all right.
That's all right.
Some. Never mind. Never mind.
But he is so hot.
It's a good read of it. Shiggy's great friend.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
This take is from Noah Jank.
Okay.
And Noah said, Yuzu should have been the Arc 5 Pro Tag.
Gets a 5 from me.
Okay.
And I think this is the first 5 that I agree with. I've never heard that idea before. Love that idea. Doesn't surprise me that it comes from Noah, who does a lot of great YouTube Yu-Gi-Oh content. But I think that's a wonderful idea because I don't know if it fixes a lot of the issues that I have with Yu-Gi-Oh Arc 5, to be totally honest. But Yuzu was the character that was responsible for taking down Zark, right? Or a portion of her. The Bracelet Girls are all more important, you feel. The U-Boys are still going to have their same level of importance. And by making her the protagonist, it puts Studio Bridge into a position, Studio Gallop, into a position that they're not used to, where they're forced to write a good, useful girl character.
And one that can duel.
And one that can duel.
Yeah.
One that's a competent duelist.
Yeah.
It forces her to. I mean, it forces them to because she's now your main character.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just from that perspective, I actually love the idea because Yuzu, much like Aki in those first like few arcs, was amazing. The rivalry with Masumi, her learning how to fusion summon and evolving her character, the mystery with her bracelet. She was a wonderful character with so much intrigue. And then she went to Synchro, and the character just died. I mean, she didn't duel in the last 60-something episodes. I got a whole video out on Yuzu's downfall. I'll link it. And by the way, a rant video. I was not happy with it. It was not as bad of a downfall. Aki did not have as bad of a downfall as Yuzu did.
Okay.
After that like first 50, 60 episodes. Yuzu's was bad. I think her being the protagonist would fix a lot of issues there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Fair.
Great idea.
And it would be the first female pro tag.
Correct. And deservedly so, because she basically beats the main villain.
I mean, that's what it takes, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, the story doesn't have to change all that much. That's just the perspective of the story.
Yeah.
I think following her would have been really cool, actually. I liked her a lot until the writers just made her a damsel. She wouldn't have been a damsel if she was the pro tag. So I see where he's coming from there. It basically just forces the writing team to care more about her. And I think that's the element that I really would have liked to see.
And they could have ultimately made a male character be like the quote-unquote damsel. Like, you know how like Brock in Pokemon is always fawning over all the ladies?
Right.
Write someone like that.
Yeah. Just reduce Shingo to that, and then we're good.
Hey, man. If it works.
Yeah, I think it would have worked. Yeah.
If you can't win a duel, you can at least root somebody else on, right?
Well said.
Thank you. This next take is from Stardust Nobody.
Sam, been around for 8 years. I'm sure it's 5Ds.
It is.
There we go.
5Ds never fell off at all. If anything, Arc Cradle is the best arc. It simply shifted its focus from being more plot-driven in Darksiders into being more thematically driven in the second half, with the pre-WRGP section being necessary in establishing those themes.
Well, at the beginning of the video, I think it was the very first take, I complimented the Neo Arc Cradle arc.
You did.
So obviously I'm in pretty straight agreeance there.
Yeah.
The only thing I can't fully agree with is that it never fell off. However, I get what Sam is saying there. I get what Stardust Nobody is saying there. He's saying that, you know, pre-WRGP and Season 3 and 4 leading up to Neo Arc Cradle was slower than what we had seen because it was building up.
Yep.
And Neo Arc Cradle was so good because it had a lot of the pillars of those seasons to stand on and build. So I get that portion of it, but you know, I did feel like the quality did dip a little below Darksiders. To say it fell off is a little extreme, so I don't even know if I would go that far. I don't think I've ever said that about 5Ds. And then Neo Arc Cradle, it gets back to the level of Darksiders, as I said at the start of this video. So I'll give the take a 4. I'll give the take a 4. I think it's a decently hot take because a lot of people do believe it fell off. But I know there are a lot of people that also love the Neo Arc Cradle arc. I'm going to give it a 4, and I'm in pretty solid agreement there with Stardust Nobody. Yeah.
Right. This take is from Dr. Crew.
Okay.
And the take is, the creation of the Shadow Realm is honestly a brilliant idea and arguably a worse fate than simply dying when you think about it. It still baffles me that it wasn't part of the original story since it worked so well and is probably one of the most well-known things about Yu-Gi-Oh!
So I give the take a 2 because I think a lot of people have actually grown to agree with this.
Okay.
And it's definitely one of the most well-known things about Yu-Gi-Oh! That part is just kind of a fact. I am in full agreement here with Dr. Doom. Was it? Who is it?
Dr. Crew.
Dr. Crew. Sorry, I was like Dr. Doom. Oh, God. Dr. Crew, I'm in full agreement with you here, man. I think the Shadow Realm concept is actually a worse fate than death, just an endless purgatory. And I think for kids at the time in trying to create something that was less scary than death, I actually think they accidentally created something that is even more scary than death, which is kind of funny to think about.
Yeah, I think from an adult perspective, it is terrifying. I think from a child's perspective, you probably don't think of anything as scary as death. So I feel like
Good point.
in a child's perspective, like, oh, they're just in this other world and they have to figure out how to get out of the suffering or whatever it is, as opposed to, oh no, they're dead, they're gone forever, that's the end of it.
It's a good point.
And then you think of it as like an adult and you're like, I'm not going to go into this world of endless suffering. Why would I ever want to do that?
Yeah.
Because you're alive and feel this happening. Like that sounds worse than death on paper.
You know, you're
But
absolutely
the child's
right.
perspective, I think, is different.
You're absolutely right, because I don't think the Shadow Realm, it scared me, but I think death and dying probably would have scared me more as a kid.
As a kid,
and I've never
100%.
thought about it from
Yeah.
that perspective, because I've only really analyzed it since I've become an adult.
Yep.
Or a late teen. So
Mhm.
that's a good point. So actually, maybe it was successful what they were trying to do,
Yeah.
because they knew kids wouldn't think about it like existentially or
Yeah.
in that sense.
You're not that deep into
Right.
into your
Right.
thoughts and everything. But then, if you're an adult watching it with your kid, then you're watching it and you're like, oh my god, that it seems like a horrible place.
Absolutely, man. Great take. Great take.
Yep. That is a good take. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
This take comes from Wellingston,
Okay.
and Wellingston said Yu-Gi-Oh should have ended after 5Ds.
Well, I'll give the take a 3 because I've seen this. This is our first take that is a boomer take.
Yeah. Boomer take.
Yeah, it's the first one, and it's because I've seen this with Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds. I've seen it with GX. I've seen it with Duel Monsters. Vrains is the newest one that
Yeah.
I've seen it with because of Sevens
Rush.
and Go Rush.
Yep.
People not liking Rush Yu-Gi-Oh. That Yu-Gi-Oh X should have ended the entire franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to get ranty here. Obviously, I disagree with it. I have
Yep.
a channel dedicated to the anime for 7 years.
Yep.
In an ideal world, the Yu-Gi-Oh anime never ends, so I'm never going to agree with it. This comment to me has, and I don't want to accuse anyone of doing this, so I don't mean to come off as accusatory or anything,
Yep.
but this comment to me has always read as a little bit selfish.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because it always reads to me like, well, like let's say, oh, the franchise should have ended after GX. It reads to me like, well, because I didn't like any of the Yu-Gi-Oh shows after GX, nobody else should get to experience them or like them.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it kind of reads.
It's kind of one of those things where maybe gatekeeping isn't the right word.
Yeah.
But you're kind of like, well, since I don't like it anymore, why should anybody else go to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh? It should have just end here.
That's how it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the intent of saying something like that isn't like I don't want other people to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh. It's more of a, after this point, it's not good, so it should have just ended here, and it would have ended on a high note. It's
Right, I'm sure-
probably the statement or the backing that you would be thinking of, but in reality, it's more of a, yeah, well, since I didn't like it anymore, why run the show? Like, why keep going?
I'm sure there's not malice when a lot of people say it, but
Yeah.
it does, as someone who knows that Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush means so much to so many people.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you want to take that away from people that loved those shows by saying, oh, it should have ended after 5Ds or GX. And I've always found that to be like the most negative comment that anyone can say surrounding the franchise. I've always found that to be the case.
Yeah, and I think I think if you enjoy the franchise as a whole and just like, no matter what the show is, you're going to watch it, even if you're not that into whatever part of the series that it might be. If it ended after a certain show so many years ago, how relevant would Yu-Gi-Oh! Be in your life in general now?
Yeah, good point.
Because, like, not even just saying you in particular, but anybody that watches, like, say, after 5Ds, I didn't really like any of the other shows, so there shouldn't be any more. Well, would you even be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore? Would you even be thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore? Because that was so long ago. Without a running show and things to talk about, like, it changes a lot.
Yeah.
You might not even be thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore at that point because it's been so far removed.
Absolutely. And I guess because I'm so in tune with a lot of different people from the community, I know some of these shows and the franchise, I mean, they've, like, I don't mean to sound dramatic or get, like, I don't know the right word for it, but, like, some of these shows have, like, saved people's lives.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's how deep of a connection some people have with some of these Yu-Gi-Oh! Shows. So
Yeah.
when I read a comment or hear a take like that, and again, I don't want to pile on or accuse anyone of saying it out of malice. I don't think that this person or most people who say it is out of malice. It just always reads like, oh, I want to take that away from people because it wasn't for me and I didn't enjoy it.
Yep.
So that's how I've always kind of. So the answer is no, I don't agree with it.
Okay, that's fair. I was going to double check. Just
Yeah,
to make sure.
no, I appreciate that.
All right. We got one more.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
So this take is from Yume Sakai.
Okay. No, Yume.
And the take is Dennis Macfield was the one character that Arc 5 needed to develop to make the entire story work. He genuinely tied so many themes together and could have been an open window to the experience of Duel Academy since, unlike the others, he was disillusioned on them as a whole.
Yume, a big Dennis Macfield fan. Know them from Twitter. Very nice person. I'm going to give the take a 5.
Okay.
Because what they're basically saying, super hot, what they're basically saying is that if you expand on Dennis's character and fix Dennis, it would have fixed the whole show, right? Is that
the entirety of Arc 5? The entire story would work.
So because that, so here's the thing. I don't actually fully disagree with the premise of Dennis really could have been used as like a gateway into academia. I thought when he ended up killing himself after the Kaito duel, that was a little underwhelming. Like, I thought there was more that they could have done with his character as they were headed to academia. I get that he didn't want to face academia, but like, I think you could have just written a better compelling storyline, and if you expand his character, give us more backstory with him, like, I think that could have been really, really cool. Hell, I would have rather seen him and Yuri duel, have Yuri card him, and that's the way that he like meets his end, like while buying time for our heroes or something. Like he takes on Yuri in a losing effort like that. Just thinking of it now, I think that would have been a better end to his character. So I agree that I think some of the issues with academia and the fleshing out of Fusion would have been fixed or a lot better with Dennis. But I don't think fleshing out Dennis solves some of my bigger issues with Arc 5, like never getting any Zark and Ray backstory, the whole ending of the show, and the Zark stuff. So I can't agree because it's just too extreme for me to agree.
Yep.
But I will agree in the sense that Dennis could have been utilized, I think, in a much, much better way. I do fully agree with that.
You throw in the word, make the entire story work better, and then it fits.
Yeah.
And then you can fully agree.
Right. Instead of fixing
instead of making the entire story work, just make it work better.
Right. Make the work. I'd agree with that.
Because the entire story may not work as a whole, but it would make it work better than it did before.
Yeah.
Right?
I fully agree.
All right.
Fully agree. Is that it?
That is the last one.
Some of those takes, man, were good. That was a lot of fun. Calibro, I want to thank you.
Of course.
You were a great host. You picked some really, really good ones.
Thank you.
I want to thank all of you guys. If you're still watching like an hour in, thank you. If you enjoyed this and would like to see a part 2, please let me know in the comments. If a lot of people watch the video, check it out, enjoy it, we'll definitely get back together for a part 2 because there's still plenty of replies. I could make a YouTube community post, an Instagram post, and get, takes from people that aren't on Discord, and
throw them in the comments too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still definitely a lot that we can touch on and explore. And again, my opinions on these, my takes on them mean nothing. As I say all the time, I'm just a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, just like you guys. So my opinion is literally the same level of importance as everybody that wrote their opinions on my Twitter. I do want to, of course, emphasize that. But thank you all so much for watching. Let me know some of your favorite hot takes that you agreed with or maybe really disagreed with down below. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.
Good night.